The presentation of American Playhouse is made possible by the nation's public television stations, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the National Endowment for the Arts, and by the Chubb Group of insurance companies. For over 100 years, providing business and personal insurance worldwide through independent agents and brokers. It's the golden Canadian summer of 1959, but for 12-and-a-half-year-old Sandy Wilcox,
nothing ever happens.
Until...
Well, Sandy, I'm your cousin Butch.
And it's time for Dad to explain things like...
uncontrollable urges.
And while Mom plays Hedda Gabler... So when California comes to Canada, life in the backwoods will never be the same, thanks to My American Cousin, next on American Playhouse.
Winter, spring, summer, and fall. This common tree is home to an uncommon abundance of animals. But in even the slightest breeze, the trembling aspen takes on a life of its own. Aspen, Dancer on the Wind, next time on Nature.
Sunday at 7 on Channel 13.
The urban students today, who are mostly students of color or of accent, know that they have to work often twice as hard to be thought of only half as good. They see that by the funding of their schools as compared to other schools.
I'm Roger Mudd. Join me for our 5-part series, Learning in America, as we take a hard look at what may be the toughest problem facing America today.
Learning in America, Monday at 8 on Channel 13. You're watching KERA TV, Dallas, Fort Worth, Denton.
The Channel 13 weather forecast calls for fair skies tonight, an overnight low of 56 degrees, then turning colder and windy on Thursday with increasing cloudiness, the high tomorrow, 86 degrees.
Local acquisition and broadcast of the McNeil-Lehrer NewsHour is made possible in part by a grant from Riddle and Brown Attorneys and Counselors, a professional corporation located in the Olympia and York Tower, and Shelter Park, locally owned by Hayes Leasing Company, Incorporated. Shelter Park offers security and car care with 24-hour attendant parking at Love Field.
Good evening. Leading the news this Wednesday, Alaska fishermen took over the oil spill cleanup to save their livelihood. The Justice Department charged Colombian and Panamanian banks with massive laundering of drug money. Government economic indicators pointed to a slowing economy. We'll have details in our news summary in a moment. Judy Woodruff is in Washington tonight. Judy?
After the news summary, the damage from the Alaska oil spill is our lead focus. Fishermen Peter Islieb and Norman Cohen of Alaska's Department of Fish and Game will join us. Then Nina Totenberg has the latest on the trial of Oliver North. Elizabeth Brackett reports on the ongoing debate over the best way to treat breast cancer. Then a blue ribbon panel calls for better treatment and more pay for federal workers. Paul Volcker joins us for a newsmaker interview. And finally, Ann Taylor Fleming has some pre-Oscar thoughts on the movie Working Girl.
Funding for the McNeil-Lehrer NewsHour is provided by AT&T, combining everything people like about telephones with everything they expect from computers to make everything about information easy. AT&T. Additional funding is provided by the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, a catalyst for change, and this station and other public television stations, and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Alaska's governor said today that authorities are losing the battle to clean up the nation's worst oil spill, and local fishermen work to protect their industry. 10 million gallons of crude oil leaked when the tanker Exxon Valdez ran aground Friday. The spill has spread over a 500-square-mile area. Some of the oil has been washing up on Alaskan beaches. Governor Steve Cooper said Exxon's response had been too slow and inadequate. He said officials are now focusing on the more limited goal of trying to protect surrounding fish hatcheries from the oil. Also today, it was reported that the Valdez, unlike many other tankers, was not built with a protective second hull, a measure which can sometimes prevent leaks when ships run aground. But the Coast Guard said the ship met all construction standards. A federal investigator on the scene disclosed today that a Coast Guard officer detected the smell of alcohol when he boarded the Valdez after it ran aground.
The Coast Guard officer who boarded the vessel, I think Mr. Delosier, did he characterize the demeanor of the captain?
Seemed to be completely functional. Completely functional, in possession of his faculties, performing satisfactorily. No indication of anything wrong with him.
This was at the time that he also detected the odor of alcohol on the captain's breath?
At the same time.
Did he have a one-on-one conversation with the captain, and that is how he determined that there was a smell of alcohol?
He detected some indication, yes.
It's been reported that the ship's captain, who was not at the helm at the time of the accident, has had a history of drinking problems. Investigators said that both the captain and third mate were refusing to answer questions about the accident. Judy?
The Justice Department today announced what it called the largest crackdown on drug money laundering ever carried out by the federal government. Attorney General Dick Thornburgh said 127 people have been charged in the case, and the government has obtained conspiracy indictments against 2 South American banks, one in Panama, the other in Colombia. The Attorney General said the international ring had ties to drug trafficking.
This billion-dollar money laundering ring has direct links to the Colombian Medellin drug cartel. And certainly one of the most effective weapons in our war on drugs is to take the profit out of illegal drugs and to deprive those who are engaged in these far-flung operations around the world of the gains that they seek through their activities.
In connection with the investigation, arrests were taking place in Atlanta, New York, Los Angeles, and Miami, and federal agents were seizing accounts at banks in those cities as well as in San Francisco. Former President Reagan sent word through an attorney today that he objects to testifying in court on behalf of his former aide, Oliver North, unless North's lawyers say precisely why they want him and what questions they will ask him. Former Attorney General Edwin Meese continued on the stand for the second day in a row today as a witness for the prosecution. Meese testified that after twice urging North to tell the truth, North still did not disclose critical details about the diversion of Iran arms sale money to the Nicaraguan Contras.
There was more evidence today that the economy is slowing down. The government reported that the index forecasting the future course of the economy dropped 0.3% last month after posting sharp gains in the previous 2 months. The government also said that new home sales plunged 9.4% in February, the lowest level in more than a year. In other economic news, federal regulators seized control of 20 failed banks owned by M Corp, the second largest banking company in Texas. The bailout is expected to cost between $1 and $2 billion. And Michael Milken, the head of the junk bond department at Drexel Burnham Lambert, was indicted today. A federal grand jury charged him with racketeering and securities violations.
President Bush said today that he will soon send Congress his recommendations of pay raises for top federal officials, members of Congress, and judges. This comes on the day Mr. Bush received the recommendations of a Blue Ribbon Commission on Public Service, a panel headed by former Federal Reserve Board Chairman Paul Volcker. The commission recommended ways to try to attract and hold better government workers, including a 50% pay raise for top officials of the executive and judicial branches over the next 2 years. Health and Human Services Secretary Louis Sullivan has announced that he will accept $215,000 in severance pay from his previous job as president of a medical school. Sullivan originally said he would give up the severance pay to avoid the appearance of conflict of interest. But last night he said he had changed his mind after the severance agreement was approved by the Office of Government Ethics.
Private enterprise took one small step into space today. In White Sands, New Mexico this morning, the nation's first commercially licensed spaceship blasted off on a 15-minute flight that was declared a success. The multi-stage rocket is owned by Space Services Incorporated of Houston, which hopes to begin launching commercial satellites into orbit over the next decade. The Consort 1 rocket carried a payload of scientific experiments and is one of 16 such projects approved by NASA.
The Supreme Court today ruled unanimously that workers cannot be denied unemployment benefits if they refuse to work on their Sabbath. There have been previous similar rulings in favor of people who follow specific religions, such as Seventh-day Adventists and Jehovah's Witnesses. Today's decision was much broader, allowing workers